Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I'm Mike Mercurio. You're watching Bobcats hockey on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you inside the Fairgrounds Arena in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Pre-Snowmageddon Saturday matinee hockey from the Twin City as the Twin City Thunderbirds host the Blue Ridge Bobcats for the 4th of 4 consecutive meetings and the 10th of 12 meetings here in the regular season. Brett Wiseman alongside you. Special thanks to John for weathering the forthcoming storm by holding things down in the WCGX radio studios. And for all of you for tuning in wherever in Southwest Virginia you may be hunkered down at, we are expected to start seeing that winter weather roll in at about 6 o'clock. So with this being a 2:30 start, hopefully we can get back up the mountain in enough time to beat it, get back to our respective abodes, and hunker down and wait out Winter Storm Fern. Yes, winter storms have names. I was today years old when I figured out that we started naming winter storms. Thought that was only reserved for hurricanes, but here we are. So we'll all be feeling the fern, if you will. You can drum accordingly to that. Pun intended. Anyways, the season series between these two, dare I say, heated rivals, stands through 10 games at 6-4 in favor of the Bobcats. Through 9 games, I should say, stands at 5-4 in favor of the Bobcats. They're looking to move to 6-4 after this afternoon's contest. With 2 games remaining in the season series, these two teams, after meeting 4 games in a row and 6 times in the last 4 weeks, will not meet again until the final weekend of the regular season in April. In just a moment, we'll get you our With Home Services starting lineup and let you know what's going on around the rest of the Federal Prospects Hockey League with Winter Storm Fern bearing down on the entire East Coast. Some teams have made changes. Others still plan on playing as scheduled. The schedule for tonight is as follows. There are 5 games that are set to be played either this afternoon or tonight. The rest coming up tonight. This the only matinee contest. PD and Binghamton still on as scheduled at 7 o'clock tonight. 7:05 Eastern as scheduled between Columbus and Baton Rouge. 7:30 start as scheduled, Watertown and Danbury. The thinking is that Watertown is far enough north towards the Canadian border. Imagine that, being far enough north to avoid a winter storm. that they're able to be out of the woods and get that one in tonight. Port Huron and Indiana still on is scheduled for an 8:05 Eastern Time start from Port Huron. They're on a home and home, but the game tomorrow in Indiana has been postponed. The other two games today postponed. Biloxi and Athens postponed. And we know a certain member of the Athens Rock Lobster staff is tuning in. Shout out to their head coach, Garrett Rutledge, former head coach here in Twin City, who's tuning in for some scouting action. So, hi, Garrett. Topeka and Monroe also postponed. Listen, you know it's bad as far as a winter storm is concerned when the city of Monroe, Louisiana declares a state of emergency for an ice storm. That's when you know it's bearing down on the entire East Coast. Pretty much from the Gulf Coast all the way up is going to feel the fern from this winter storm, except for Florida. Florida won the coin toss. They decided to not receive. Haha, that was another funny joke. We're going to get through this afternoon with some puns. Going to have to. An early start here, as we said. Last night's game ended about 10 o'clock. I didn't get out of the rink until about 11:30 last night after my post-game duties. So got home about 1 o'clock. Had to turn back around, be back at the arena at 10:30. We're on the bus at 11. Shout out to Twin City bus driver Kevin Turner for stepping in on short notice to get us down the mountain and get us back up. And hopefully he can get back down here home in enough time. So shout out to Kevin for getting us down here and finding a way for us to get this one in for you this afternoon. Let's take a look at the With Home Services starting lineup for this afternoon's contest. It is the Mercurio line that'll start. He'll center with Stuckless and Kozyrev on the wings. Dennis Rodchenko and Zach Ross are the starting defensive pairing. And Anthony Schrum makes his 8th consecutive start in between the safe and secure storage goaltending pipes with Greg Hussey backing him up. Per usual. And per usual for Twin City, it'll be Boris Babick. That's in between the pipes for them. Their starting lineup. All right, folks, we are back on the air here in Winston-Salem. We had a series of power surges here in the booth. Our computer crashed, but we now have an alternate computer that we're using for the time being. And we're back. Good thing is you haven't missed any goals. Shots are 13-7 in favor of the Thunderbirds in favor of the Bobcats after one period of play here. But glad you're sticking with us here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network on YouTube. Mike Mercurio trying to go down the wing with it. Held in, attempted to be held in there by Rodchenko, and now moved to center by Cunningham. Kramer knocked off it by Kozyrev. He, Mercurio, and Stuckless were the starters this afternoon, along with Ross and Rodchenko. It's picked off by Kramer, now White. Pirouette's a backhander right on goal. That was tapped on by Cunningham and stopped by Schrum, making his 8th consecutive start. Stuckless in a foot race for it now. Shoves Kennedy right off the puck and hits the deck. Troy Harwell's got a bubble on this afternoon. And in case you missed it, Jacob Schnapp also suspended 2 games for a lewd comment to a fan last night inside Hitachi Energy Arena in Wytheville. Again, thanks for sticking with us. It's going to be bare bones, but we're still here for periods 2 and 3. There's a shot by Erickson right on. That's stopped by the pad of Babick. Joe Kennedy now the other way. He had one of the 2 Thunderbirds goals last night. Pinned up by Hlavak. And now Butita behind the net for Ford. Ford wraps back of the cage, sends it to the right point for Salak. Walks into a wrister. That hit the crossbar. Now Craig down the wing. Sent one in front, blocked. Puck loose behind the net. Picked up now by Hlavak and hoisted ahead between the legs of Jesso. Won't go far enough for icing. LaBelle now over for Ford. Ford moves in and shoots, and Schrum hangs on to that. .18:04 remaining here in our With Home Services second period. Shots now 14-9 in favor of the Bobcats. We have a bit of an alternate score bug as well. Want to thank Logan, Jose, Gina, Kendall, and the rest of the Thunderbirds technical crew here for allowing us not only the video feed, but giving us the extra equipment here to get us back on the air. Keeley backhander went high and wide. Craig now down the wing. And Demke leaves it at the point. Now Craig shoots and deflects that one wide. Andrioli now trying to bank it ahead, not out. And a shot for the bell that is gloved by Schrum. 17:31 remaining now in our With Home Services second period. Cannot thank the fine folks here in Winston-Salem enough for their help in just getting us back on the air. The computer that we originally bought was new and running into some issues, so we'll get those corrected this week. And hopefully everything will be fine and dandy. And we're back at home next weekend to see the Danbury hat tricks. Now this is went across to Igor Romanov. And he'll peel back into his own defensive zone with it now. Igor sends it ahead the length of the ice. This will be icing. 17:16 on the clock in our With Home Services second period now. Mercurio to take the ozone drawn out. It's won by the Thunderbirds, who are debuting their new alternate red sweaters with the new bird logo. Here's Mercurio. He'll move down the wing with it. Picked up behind the net by Richard Dorina. Nearly had his pocket picked by Stucklitz. And now banked to center, Kozirev. Stucklitz had it knocked away by Dorina. Now White's got his pocket picked. Kozirev trying to stick handle around Dorina, could not. Dorina sends it into the middle. Cunningham pivots with it, sends a wrister on goal, squeezed by Schrum, and he'll freeze it. Loose, near side along the half wall. It's held in by Martin. He'll try and move behind the net. Now it's picked up by Jesso. Deflected in front. It's loose. Jesso, sharp angle, just wide. That went off a couple of bodies in front. Now play back ahead, Hlavak. Jesso, onside play. Picked off by LaBelle, rink wide Butita. Stretched ahead, picked off by Hlavak. He'll dance around LaBelle. That didn't work. Now moved ahead by LaBelle for Ford. Ford drags, shoots, blocked by Andrioli. Hlavak flicks it to the half wall. Now ahead for Jesso, poked to center. Jesso's on his horse for it, beaten to it by Ford. Ford tried to send it across, could not. Jesso hard on the forecheck, battling with Craig. Now LaBelle fumbled it. Martin got it, centers. Andrioli tried to go down low. Gesso was tied up by Craig. Ron Johnson and Kenny Moniz are our referees this afternoon, and one thing we've noticed so far, they're letting a lot of those ticky-tack things go. Timothy St. Pierre in his second North American professional contest. On for Daly. Now PJ Demetrio shoots it off the pad of Babic. Demetrio got it back. Feathers it to the point. St. Pierre's shot's blocked, and it boots out to center. Seth Bacon dumps it back in. Wholesale changes both sides. Harwell behind the net. Nearly turned it over, but got it around Daly. Ahead for Keeley. Up the near wing. Steps around Ross. Down below the goal line. Pinned up by Rodchenko. Dennis trying to work the puck free. Now Stuckless moves it ahead for Demetrio. He'll backhand it to center. Harwell dumps back in. Rodchenko after it. Help from Schrum behind the net. Rodchenko snipes it up the kick plate out of danger. Held in by Kennedy. Shot off of the back arm of Keeley there. And picked up by Kozyrev. He'll jet on to center. Here's Mercurio over for Stuckless. Stuckless will shoot it from distance. Stopped by Babic. No further play. And with 13:17 to go here in our With Home Services second period, due to the bare bones nature of the remainder of this broadcast, we're unable to bring you any commercials. Sorry about that. But I want to thank our great sponsors here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. Of course, With Home Services is our second period sponsor. Our first and third periods all season long brought to you by our hometown dealers at Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC and Aschenbach Ford. Our power plays and penalty kills brought to you all season long by Hitachi Energy and R&R Septic and Plumbing, our 3 stars of the game, brought to you by Chantel. And all our other great sponsors who you've heard plenty about so far this season on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. Our friends at Bowman Brothers Cards and Collectibles out in Bluefield, right on the Virginia-West Virginia line. Hope Kevin and the crew are getting set for the storm up there. They're supposed to get a little bit more than we're getting down here. The forecasted numbers of what's snow and what's ice and what's whatever else of our winter storm has certainly changed. Cameron Logistics, GFL Environmental, want to thank them as well. They're right next door to one another, just on the outside of downtown Wytheville. So go by and see them for all your logistical and waste hauling needs. That shot just wide. Right off the draw there. Kozyrev lost an edge behind the net. LaBelle. Oh, nice play by Mercurio to keep that alive. But it is picked up by Craig and now stretched on to White. Rodchenko around the near side. Kozyrev tried to bank it on. Could not. And now maneuvered back down and over. Ross. Knocked away by Cunningham. Here's Kramer. To the point. LaBelle, D-to-D Craig, shot it wide. Looking for a tip there, couldn't find anybody in front. Cunningham now for White. Off his skate, back to the near wing. Down in the corner below the goal line. Kramer maneuvers behind the net with it. Trying to get set up here. Hounded by a couple of defending Bobcats. Forced to bank it back to the point. Ross, or should be Craig, D-to-D LaBelle into the middle. Cunningham knocked away. And Mercurio backhand to center. Stuckless knocks it down. Here's Kozyrev. Kozyrev into the slot with it. Shoots it. And Babic able to squeeze it through a bus depot in front of the net. Stuckless and takes a shove there from LaBelle as Stuckless was attempting to screen Babic. $13:15 remaining here in our With Home Services second period. We'll continue to shout out our sponsors throughout the remainder of the broadcast since we can't hear from them directly. But thanks for sticking with us here. Fortunately, you haven't missed any goals yet. Again, we apologize for those technical issues, having to use an alternate computer. That was provided to us by the technical crew here in Winston-Salem. We want to thank them tremendously for their assistance in helping us get back on the air. This is Igor Romanow now for Kennedy. He'll send it ahead, and Schrum is going to stick that down and move it over for Levac. He'll hoist it ahead. Picked off by Romanow at center. Romanow down the wing, dropped it Butita, shot it wide. Blocker side of Schrum. All the way back out it comes, and Kennedy forced back behind his own net with it now. Kennedy sets up here. And we'll start the breakout. To his left for Ford. Fumbled the pass, but he's able to dump this one in. Levac pins his man up. Andrioli goes between the legs. Nicely ahead for Gesso. Gesso knocked down from behind. Keeps the play alive. Moves behind the net with it. Gesso peels. Trying to center. Broken up. Mania knocked off it by Reller. And he'll move it behind the net. LaBelle around the kick plate. Bacon. And that came out of the zone, says the linesman. Gesso and Bacon both disagree. Bacon was standing on top of the blue line right there, so it looked like he gloved it in enough time to keep the puck in, but the question is, were his skates far enough over the blue line, back out into neutral ice, where it would have been offside that he touched it, and that appears to be what happened. Timothy St. Pierre moved it over to Daly. Now Andrioli centers it for Reller. Reller shot it. That one blocked by LaBelle. Andrioli to it, far wall. Harwell and Reller battling for it. Reller wins possession. Looking. St. Pierre. Oh, just able to get a piece of it was Babick. Big hit by Bacon on Dimke. And Bacon takes a stick up high, and there is a penalty. And he might be leaking here. We'll see who the guilty party is. Ron Johnson immediately put the arm up. And they're going to check for sure to see if there's blood. And that'll determine whether it's a 2 or a 4 minute. Or maybe there was no penalty. There was no penalty. Okay. So he hit the deck. They blew it dead for safety reasons. There is no penalty on the play. Bacon's got a towel to the face there. Not sure if it was a stick or maybe the puck hit him up there. And that's why they blew it dead. There's a shot that is squeezed by Schrum, and no further play. All right, so my mistake, that was the puck that hit Bacon, and that's why Ron Johnson blew it dead for safety reasons as Schrum stops another. So my apologies there. It was not a high stick. And Ron Johnson put the arm, both arms up, indicating a stoppage in play. And we're going to false draw here on the faceoff. We'll do it again. Rodchenko tied up by Kramer. There's Stuckless. Left it for Ford. And now Rodchenko backhands it up the wall. Mercurio unable to clear yet. Kramer centers it. Kozyrev able to get there in time and get it to center. Now a 2-on-1. Mercurio with Stuckless. Mercurio's pass across blocked by Romanow. 4-man scrum behind the net. Romanow holding on to Mercurio. And there's the arm up. Delayed penalty on the Thunderbirds. It's going to be a holding call on Romanow. Kozyrev drops. Rodchenko waits. Dangles his way to the slot. Just wide. Mercurio tied up, and there's the touch by Zach White. And Igor Romanow is going to be guilty of holding. And the Bobcats will go to the Hitachi Energy power play for the first time this afternoon. Bobcats were 1 for 2 on the power play last night. Remember, they had that 5-on-3 unbelievable passing sequence. So top unit goes to work. Gesso, Daly, Gallagher, Ross, and Reller. Gesso tried to move it over for Ross. Puck disagreed, and out to center it goes. Here's Ross. Hounded by Butita. Good composure, and he'll drop it back for Gallagher to try and start the engine now. Gallagher for Reller. Reller dangles around Butita. Moves around Keeley. Into the zone he goes. He'll try and get set up. Pass picked off by Butita. Trying to get it to Ross. Butita sends it in on goal from center. Schrum snipes it around the wall. Gesso plays it back around to Ross. Now he can get the engine started. Send it on to Daly. He pokes it around LaBelle. Here's Daly. Dragging. Score! Justin Daly! Rips it home. Blocker side on Babick. And puts the Bobcats up 1-0. It's a power play goal. Great job by Daly on the rush right there. LaBelle tried to step up at the red line to break that up. Daly poked it by him, had a 2-on-1, sniped a puck on edge, a knuckleball that beat Babick, blocker side. Second power play goal in as many nights for the Bobcats, and the Hitachi Energy power play comes up clutch once again, 1-0. Here's Kozirev. He'll bank it on to center. Harwell knocked off it by Stuckless. He'll send it on goal. Babick tried to cover it, instead picked up by Kennedy. Kramer now hoists it on to Ford. Ford waits, delays, shoots, waffle boarded away by Schrum. Hlavak now up the kick plate, held in by Kramer. Shot deflected off the pad of Schrum. Hlavak's seen enough. He'll send it on to Stuckless and get it out to center. Stuckless pinned up in front of the Thunderbirds bench, trying to power ahead with it. Sent back into the zone, and now Hlavak drops it D to Erickson. Kozirev taps it into the zone. Harwell goes behind the net. Andrioli first to it. Waiting. Sending it on goal, sticked away by Babick. Here's St. Pierre, centered it for Reller. Reller trying to drop it, nobody home. Butita up the wall, throws down Demetrio. Andrioli back to it, hip check by Butita. Here's Demetrio. There's a one-timer, just wide by Bacon. Reller screening in front. St. Pierre back down the wall, Andrioli. Here's Reller. He's shoved off it by Butita. Butita. Oh, big hit on him by Andrioli as payback. Cunningham. To the line. Craig chips it around Demetrio below the goal line. Bacon gets the call for the wheel there from Reller. Big reverse hit on Cunningham. And back up the wall it goes. Cleared out. Will it go for icing? Yes, as Andrioli tried to get on his horse. Couldn't quite get there in time. Just over 7.5 to go in our With Home Services second period. It is 2-0 Bobcats. We've hit our media timeout, which gives us a chance to shout out our sponsors here on this bare bones broadcast. And thanks for sticking with us, and thanks to the technical crew here in Winston-Salem for helping us get back on the air. Hitachi Energy is the sponsor of our power play. And we saw Justin Daly score on that a few moments ago. Continue to shout out the rest of our fine sponsors here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. If you need a haircut, be sure to head over to Turning Heads. Because they'll turn heads. It's in the name. Bill Cole Auto Mall also in Bluefield. just over the line in West Virginia. Samick America, who was a sponsor of our youth hockey night last weekend. Our official soft drink provider is Pepsi, of course, at the arena. If you enjoyed the moved ahead bumper car and public skate earlier this afternoon at Hitachi Energy Arena. 7:34 remaining in our With Home Services second period. Be sure to head over to With Home Services if you've got any sort of home repair needs. They got you covered. Foot race for it now. Jesso and Romanow come together. Romanow for Ross. Oh, nearly deflected away in the slot there. Thunderbirds recover it. Demke. Rink wide for Craig. He fumbled it. Able to move it on for Mania. Banked out of danger by Erickson. Romanow left it. Jesso picked it off. Trying to center it. Jesso tied up. And that splits the defenseman and goes all the way down. Here's Schrum. He'll play it carefully ahead for Erickson, who will sweep it to center. Martin had a shot at it. Instead, it's Demke. Demke banked it to center. Here's Demke with it once again. Skates into the zone. Feathered it over for White. What a glove save by Schrum. Holy jumping. Showed him the 9 of hearts and took it right away. Windmill style. Shots now 20-15 in favor of the Bobcats. And Mercurio takes a stick up high. That is going to be a penalty. Delayed call on the Thunderbirds. And now here's Kozyrev. Dangles around forward on the delayed call. Kozyrev waits, shoots, Babbitt squeezes it. And we get a whistle. Who's the guilty party? It's White. It is just a 2-minute minor on White. So the Thunderbirds avoid the double minor there. Here's Mercurio behind the net. Babbitt. Martin for Kozyrev. Kozyrev down the wall for Martin to the point. Levac. Now Mercurio below the goal line. Stuckless back to Mercurio to the point. Levac dusted off, shot it, deflected high by Kozyrev. Stuckless powers away with it to the left wing. Mercurio to the point. Levac. Kozyrev tapped it in front. Stuckless couldn't get a hold of it, and Kennedy able to clear it. Levac now. A minute to go on the Hitachi Energy power play. Martin to hoist it into the zone. Babbitt. LaBelle tried to clear, could not. Martin held it in. Gallagher could not, though. Cleared out by Butsita. Second unit hopping out there in pieces. Here's Ross. For Gallagher. And now into the middle for Reller. Reller jets up. Reller dangles. Moves below the goal line now. Sends it behind the cage. Gallagher along the wall for Reller. Skate to stick. Bank to the point. Ross. Reller shoots it. Deflected high by Gallagher and into the netting. Out of play. We get a whistle and a timeout here at 4:47 to go. 16 seconds. Remaining on this second Hitachi Energy power play of the afternoon. I want to thank you for tuning in and sticking with us here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. As we said, having to use an alternate computer, so don't have any of the commercials loaded here, but we're going to do our best to shout out our great sponsors here on BRHN. Old Fort Antique Mall. If you need a Valentine's Day gift that would be quite the pull, there's plenty you can find over at Old Fort Antique Mall. Big Walker Lookout will be open soon as well. They're the sponsor every week of our Lookout, big hit of the game, which Carson Andrioli seems to have a monopoly on lately. Back to action we go. 16 seconds left on this man advantage. And a whistle. Kenny Moniz saw something he didn't like. So Ford Mercurio go at it again. And maybe not. Mercurio, Stuckless, tried to dangle, no dice. Cleared out by Kramer. Slovak, rink wide, Kozyrev trying to get reset, 8 seconds. Kozyrev lost the handle. Ford powers his way back ahead with it now. And he'll peel off and wait for reinforcements. Holds the line, dragging, shooting. Stopped by Schrum, rebound loose. Romanow tapped on goal by White and stopped by Schrum. .421 remaining here in our with home services second period. Jesso trying to clear, could not. Erickson can't either. Held in by White. Kennedy, Ford, down low, nicely picked away from behind by Erickson. And now cleared to center, foot race for it. Martin is on it. Martin drags, hit the deck. Babick leaves it behind the net for Kennedy. Now on for White. White into the zone. Dragging, shooting, shot that off the side of the cage. Gallagher hoisted ahead to Jesso. He'll weave with it. White knocked it away. Gallagher back tap Jesso. Jesso centers it. Slovak drop pass Demetrio. Sniped around the wall for Jesso. Jesso behind the net with it. Centers it. Demetrio. Sent it over to the right. Nobody home. Slovak incidentally bumped into Babick there. We play on. Offside. .323 remaining here in our with home services second period. Here is Harwell. That's blocked by Daly. Harwell back into his own end. Shoved off it by Daly. Daly pivots with it. Hauled down. Penalty upcoming. It is a holding call on Harwell. And back to the Hitachi Energy power play. Go the Bobcats. So third Hitachi Energy power play of the second period now. Bobcats 1 for 2 so far. Slovak, Mercurio trying to center it, comes to Kozyrev, dusted it off, Shot it wide, trying to get a tip from Stuckless. Mercurio now to Hlavak at the point. He'll walk the line. Mercurio, wrister, waffle boarded away by Babic. Rebound floating around in the slot. Picked up by Salak, not out. Held in by Hlavak, read by Keeley and poked out to center. Mercurio on to Martin. Dropped it back to Hlavak. He'll snipe it around. Mercurio settles it, picked up by Craig. He can't clear yet. Now he'll move ahead with it and bank it out. Schrum behind his own cage. Left it for Hlavak. A minute gone, a minute to go on the Harwell holding penalty. And the Hitachi Energy power play. Hlavak for Gesso. Top unit out. Gesso down the wing. Flashes into the slot. Waiting. Drops it. Ross. Forced to the point. Nicely banked low for Daly. Daly back to Ross. Now to Reller. Reller outside the circle. Peels with it. Ross dragging. Waiting. Shooting. Deflected wide. Gesso to it. Gallagher behind the cage. Gesso outside the circle. Gallagher back to the forehand. Shut down and clear it out. Nice setup, but well defended by Twin City. Schrum away from a forechecking White. Now on to Ross. Reller run into by Ross. Lost his twig. Here is Radchenko. Radchenko powers in. Backhanders blocked by Craig. And that'll do it for the Harwell penalty. He's free. Final minute of the second. Harwell at center out of the box. Left it for Ford. Waiting. Wrapping back of the goal. Centering LaBelle. One-timer. Missed everything. Gesso hops on it now. Gesso up the wing. Past Craig. Gesso behind the net. Centers it. Radchenko with space. Sent it in front, tap wide, rebound, they score! Guess who? It's Gesso, number 11 in game 8, 2-0. You want to talk about a guy on an all-time heater, number 14 is on one. Had 2 last night. He's got another one now. He's got 5 in the last 4 games against Twin City and 11 in 7 games as a Bobcat. Cleared to center. Hlavak rink wide. Knocked down at center by Reller. Kennedy sends it on. Picked off by Erickson. He'll hoist it to center. Romano in his own end. Sends it on. Picked off by Hlavak. And sent it the length of the ice. Reller was hemmed in offside. 10 seconds. Romano will peel back behind his own cage. And that will do it for period number 2. 2 in the second. In the With Home Services second period for the Bobcats. Daly on the power play. And Gesso picking up his 11th in 7 games as a Bobcat and his 5th in the last 4 against Twin City to put the Bobcats ahead 2-0 after 2 periods of play. As we said, unfortunately, with the computer situation, we don't have any of the commercials loaded, but we'll give a sec to give a quick shout out to all our great sponsors here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network before we take a brief respite to catch our breath at this second intermission. Special thanks to With Home Services, our second period sponsor. Aschenbach Ford, Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC, our first and third period sponsors. Bowman Brothers, Cards and Collectibles in Bill Cole Auto Mall in Bluefield. Hope they're hunkering down ahead of the snowstorm. Old Ford Antique Mall, Big Walker Lookout. There's Big Walker, the sponsor of our Lookout. Big hit of the week each and every week. thank them for that. Chantel, our 3 stars of the game sponsor all season long. Power plays and penalty kills brought to you by Hitachi Energy and R&R Septic and Plumbing. Hitachi Energy had a nice second period with that power play goal from Justin Daly, a little over the halfway mark in. Turning Head Salon, want to thank them. Fruit Droppers, Freestand Products, the Blue Line Bar and Spirits at Hitachi Energy Arena. Hope plenty visited there, and over 1,000 corn dogs sold last night, by the way, on Dollar Corn Dog Night. So it's a shame Ryle Purdy had to miss that, but he's got more important things to do, like defending our country. He's in the Marine Corps, so we hope Purdy, who's quite muscular now, in case you haven't run into him around town before he had to ship out. Well, we're going to take a break as they chuck the pucks here in Winston-Salem and catch our breath at our second intermission. 2-0 Bobcats after 2. Don't go anywhere. We've got one heck of a third period coming up shortly. And we welcome you back inside the Fairgrounds Arena here in Winston-Salem. Brett Wiseman alongside you. Again, thanks for sticking with us after our power surge computer malfunction situation there in the first period. Our crew back in Rourke County will get that corrected this week so we can bring you, those of you that can't make it out to Hitachi Energy Arena next weekend, so we can bring you next week's games against the Danbury Hat Tricks. Friday night is Scout Night. Presented by our friends at Porter Chiropractic Clinic. So the daily goal that was originally unassisted has now been updated. Dustin Gesso and Zach Ross pick up the primary and secondary assists on that one respectively, that power play goal. As we're set for our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Want to thank them for being season-long sponsors. And we don't have our normal commercials, so we're going to shout out our great sponsors as often as we can throughout this third period. Thanks for sticking with us. Didn't miss anything in the first, but if you missed the second, you missed a pair of goals. Away we go in the Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Ross, Rodchenko, Stuckless, tapped into the zone, picked off by Romano, and now Jan Salak up the near wing, shoved off by Mercurio. Rodchenko back for Mercurio, picked off by Butita, center to Salak, the shot's blocked nicely by Kozirev. Kennedy snaps it low, Butita pinned up by Ross. Salak battling along the wall with Stuckless, and Ross intercepts and moves behind his own cage with it. Using that extra couple of feet behind the net here in Winston-Salem. Ross trying to dump it in, could not. Kennedy intercepted it. Mercurio intercepts and drops back to Rodchenko. Wholesale change on the forwards. Levac out there as well. Here's Martin. Up the wing, tapped in by Gesso. Here is Gallagher. He'll move down low with it, knocked away by White. Picked off by Martin. His shot missed just wide. Levac shoots, and Babic able to glove that. Through a maze in front of the blue paint. Thunderbirds win the defensive zone draw. This is Craig. He'll send it up the wing. White offside. I thought so. Linesman just couldn't get to the whistle quick enough. As I believe that was Kramer. That was about a couple of strides ahead in the zone when White brought it across the blue line. And a false draw on the neutral zone faceoff. We'll do it again. Gallagher will be booted. Martin will take it. It's won by Ford. LaBelle rips it in. Erickson hops to it, pinned up by Ford. Martin hoists it out of danger. This should go far enough for icing, and it will. Oops. Clock reset itself right there. We're powering through it. Faceoffs won by the Thunderbirds. They trail 2-0 to the Bobcats. Early going in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. That shot deflected in. Not sure if it was Ford or White that got a piece of it. But that cuts the lead to 1. And there goes the shutout for Schrum. That one was deflected in front right between his legs. A collision off the draw there. And sniped around a Bacon. Down low, Keeley. St. Pierre ties him up. Pass blocked by Butita. Daly knocked it away. Dorina's shot missed high. Stays in play. Kennedy down the wall. Bacon pins his man up. White did tip that one in. He gets credit for it. St. Pierre knocks his man down and picked up by Bacon and cleared out. This will just barely go far enough for icing. So Butita will take the draw here for the Thunderbirds. Opposite Reller. Faceoff's won by the Bobcats, but picked off by Butita. Sends it down and around behind the net. Kennedy broken up. Reller. Bank to center. Cunningham lost it. Reller after it. He's got it. He'll sweep it back. Kozyrev. St. Pierre stopped by Babic. Great setup, but Babic aggressively there out on top of the blue paint. Able to make the stop and squeeze it between the pillows. Three minutes gone by in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Kozyrev now knocked away at center. Picked up by White, rink wide. This is Kramer. Powers around a man. Got his way behind the net. To the point, Romanow. Walks the line. Dropped to 4, down the wall, LaBelle. Pass blocked. Picked up by Romanow. Run into by his countryman, Rodchenko. LaBelle's shot deflected just wide. Believe Schrum may have gotten a piece of that with the blocker. And this is icing. Thunderbirds with a good bit of momentum off that goal by White. I've had the Bobcats hemmed in here the last couple of minutes. Dimke could not get the shot away. Romanow has that one blocked, and it goes into the netting, out of play. 16:11 to go here in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Slovak now rips it around the wall for Gesso. And now Mania stepped up on by Gesso. Puck's loose. Gesso moves it ahead. This is Martin. Martin trying to drag it around Craig and lost the handle. Mania behind the net. Left it. Craig battling with Martin. Chips it up the wall. Mania down the wing with it. Powers down low. Erickson runs him off and takes a big hit. There's going to be a penalty for that. Keeley with a shove on Erickson, and here we go. Keeley and Erickson want to dance. Dimke wants Gesso. Martin will step in there. Mania to his knees. So now Mercurio and Butsita going to get the explanations here. Mania is off to the dressing room for repairs. Did not look purposeful at all. Was just trying to pin Mania to the wall there, and Mania looked like he lost an edge. And Erickson already committed to the hit. Yes, it's a penalty, but wasn't malicious in nature. So he's got 2, I'm presuming, for boarding. But for right now, that's the only penalty, and I believe it will stay that way. Two for boarding, I presume? Roughing. Okay, roughing. Again, it was one of those situations where, excuse me, it looked like Mania maybe lost his balance a bit. Erickson was just trying to pin him up and work the puck free. He'd already committed to that hit. Again, nothing malicious, but still a penalty nonetheless by the letter of the law. As they are cleaning things up where the incident took place. So the Bobcats will now go to the R&R Septic and Plumbing penalty kill. For the first time in 5.5 periods this weekend. Ford centers, Kramer shut down by Schrum, and he'll freeze it. Tie up on the draw. Tied up again, but worked free. LaBelle, Kramer. Ford. Behind the net with it. Waiting. White. LaBelle. White. Ford waits, dangles, backhander wide, and Ford knocked down. We play on. White drags. Ford centers LaBelle. Gloved by Schrum. And we get a whistle and a timeout with 14:57 to go here in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. 3 shots already here for Twin City on their power play. Want to thank R&R Septic and Plumbing for sponsoring our penalty kill all season long. And thanks to more of our great sponsors here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. Of course, Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC, our third period sponsor, your hometown dealerships. Bill Cole Auto Mall and Bowman Brothers up in Bluefield. Old Ford Antique Mall, Big Walker Lookout with Home Services, Cambric Logistics, Turning Heads Salon, Fruit Droppers, Prestan Products, Satachi Energy, sponsor of our Power Play, Chantel, sponsor of our 3 Stars, Sonic America, sponsor of our Youth Hockey Night, Porter Chiropractic, who will sponsor Scout Night coming up on Friday. We'll be hosted at Danbury Hat Tricks. Alpha Therapy, of course, our official team sports therapist. Ross has got time and space to skate this one out. With 1:10 to go. Tried to sweep it into the middle there, but broken up by 4. That killed a good amount of time there. Ross hanging on to it. Ford. Now Kramer up the wing. Kramer set it in front. It's loose. Where is it? Comes to the far side. White. Kramer. Setting up outside the dot. White. Rink wide. Ford skate to stick. Ford blocked by Gallagher. He'll clear it. Stick taps from the Bobcats bench for that. Sent on. Keeley lost an edge. Broken up at center. Martin able to drag it back to the forehand. Now on to Radchenko. One-on-one. Short-handed. Blocked by LaBelle. 20 seconds now on the Erickson penalty. And the R&R Septic and Plumbing penalty kill. Cunningham. Pass deflected. Salak had that puck pinball on him. Stuckless digging for it. Cunningham to the point. Craig. Now Ford. Drops it. Craig. White. Back to Ford. Shot it wide. White back to it. Run into by Erickson. Cunningham blocked. And Hlavak able to clear it. Will it go for icing? Yes. But at the end of the PK, the Bobcats will take that. And hang on a second. We have an arm up. All right, maybe not. Cheers. Are for Michael Mania returning. Nope, excuse me. Caleb Melanson is out there now. And he's going to want to dance with somebody. Here he's going after Erickson. He drops the mitts. Down he goes. Oh my goodness, he's pummeling Erickson. Linesmen have to get in there. Well, Melanson has one job, and he did it. He's going to go for a victory lap. Erickson didn't even have a chance to fight back, so we'll see what the verdict is. If they give him a fighting major or not. Bobcats penalty box door is open. Everybody in the crowd knew what was going to happen when Melanson got on the ice. He's got one job, he has one shift, and he goes right after Erickson. But we'll see if the Bobcats get the better end of this, because when you have an enforcer like that that's out there for one thing, generally you get a power play out of it. Erickson looks like he might be headed to the box as well. We'll see if they give Melanson an extra 2, though. Boy, he just pummeled Erickson when he turtled up. Mercurio now is going to go to the box. For what, I'm not sure. If Erickson's not in there, then why is Mercurio? We'll get this sorted out. Kenny Moniz and Danny Martin are conversating. Merck's got to watch it here. Melanson appears to be getting the gate. And Michael Mania is back out. We are still getting this sorted out. The face-off is in the neutral zone. So I'm assuming we're 4-on-4. Corey Cunningham is in the box to serve for Melanson. So here is the verdict. Mike Mercurio received an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, a 10-minute unsportsmanlike, as did Caleb Melanson. Melanson was also given the lone fighting major, so that's the correct call because Erickson did not willingly drop his gloves. He did the smart thing. He turtled up right there. So now it's going to be a major penalty power play for the Bobcats. Five-minute major penalty. And the Bobcats go to work. Plavac's shot blocked and cleared out. It is a major penalty power play. We've got that confirmation. Martin down low for Stucklitz. Played it around to Gesso. Stucklitz. Gesso waiting. Down for Stucklitz. Back around Kozirip. To the point, Plavac. Rink wide, Gesso. Plavac back at the point. Kozirip. Rink wide again, Gesso. Sent it in front, picked off by Ford. He'll try and move ahead here shorthanded and clear it out. On goal, and Schrum will carefully play this away. Plavac over for Gesso. He's watched by Keeley, now back for Daly. Just over a minute gone of the continuous 5 on this major penalty power play. Reller leaves it for Ross. Trying to go back for Reller. Keeley hounding here in the offensive zone, forechecking shorthanded. Ross now ahead for Gesso. Rink wide for Daly. Daly into the zone. Outside the circle. Bank to Reller. Down the wall, broken up. Keeley can't clear. Ross holds the line. Down the wall for Reller. Reller walks into a wrister. It's blocked by Romano. Can't clear though. Reller blocked the clearance attempt. Kennedy though on for Salak and out. Schrum sticks it down. Leaves it for Ross. 2 minutes gone on the Hitachi Energy major power play. Martin into the zone around LaBelle. He'll snipe it around the kick plate. Stuckless, pinned up by Demke. Gallagher couldn't find anybody at the far point. And out it goes. Schrum will wait for reinforcements. Drag it back behind his own cage. Leave it for Philip Levac. He'll move up the wing with it and drop it for Kozyrev. Kozyrev, Stuckless, give and go. Kozyrev's tied up. Stuckless back to it. Broken up by White and cleared. Schrum leaves it for Levac. 3 minutes are gone on this major penalty power play, and the Bobcats do not have a shot yet. Jessoli, or should say Gallagher, leaves it for Kozyrev. Kozyrev down to the line, Stuckless. Martin, Levac, wide. Gallagher to it. Rink wide, Kozyrev. Into the middle, Martin tapped it low. Stuckless battling for it. Kennedy clears it. Here's Ross. Drop back for Reller. He's forced back by Keeley. 90 seconds now. Reller charging ahead. Gains the line. Centered it. Tapped away. Daly to the point. Ross. Over to Gesso. Drag, shoots, partially blocked. Andrioli lost an edge. Keeps it alive. Daly. Slams on the brakes. Reller in front, score! Reller off the skate of a defender and in. And the Bobcats convert on a major power play. 3-1. Hey, Ross sends it in here. Reller back around the wing. Slams on the brakes. Waiting. Powers down the wing. Reller behind the net. Knocked away. White backhands to center. Still 40 seconds left on the penalty. Ross behind the net. 30 seconds on the major penalty. Ross drops it. Reller for Gesso. Moved it around LaBelle, got it below the goal line. Here's Ford. Oh, nearly had his pocket picked. Fought through it. 15 seconds now. Ford shorthanded. Drag, shoots, waffle boarded away by Schrum. Now a foot race for it. Andrioli at center. Tied up. Romanow's got it now. Romanow behind the net. Hounded by Gesso. He'll leave it for Kennedy. Power play has ended. Dumped in by the Thunderbirds. Erickson, shouldered. And now banked out to center. Gesso after it. Romanow has it poked away by Kozyrev. They'll battle for it. Stuckless couldn't get to it. Under 8 minutes to go in the Raschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Salak now. Drags, shoots, blocked. Goes behind the net. Kennedy left it in front. Loose again. Kennedy, nowhere to go. Sends it towards the net. Pinballing around. Cunningham shot it wide. Demetrio gets it up the wall. D to D, LaBelle to Kennedy. Kennedy, LaBelle one-timer. Deflected by Salak off the pad of Schrum. Demetrio's got Salak tied up. Puck loose. Erickson knocked it away. Behind the net he goes with Salak. Here's Butsita to Kennedy. Lets it go. Blocked in front. And Kozyrev will high flip it. Held in by Kennedy. Picked up by Stuckless. Here's Stuckless. Dragging. Lost the handle. Sent back ahead Cunningham. Waiting for reinforcements. looking for LaBelle, and we get a whistle here. Media timeout, 6:40 to go. It's a slash on Nick Stuckless. And Stucks has got to watch it here. Make sure not to be too vocal with his displeasure. So the Bobcats will go back to the R&R Septic and Plumbing penalty kill. Caleb Melanson has been ejected. So his 10-minute misconduct was game misconduct as he's come out of the dressing room in street clothes. And is shaking hands with pretty much everybody in section 116 over there. Anyways, to the R&R Septic and Plumbing penalty kill we go. 6:44 to go in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Kramer off a deflection, picked off by Gallagher and cleared. LaBelle behind his own net. Pass was blocked by Martin, but it comes to Ford. He'll rip it around. Read by Hlavac. Up the wall, Martin. Can't get it out yet, now does. LaBelle for Ford. Back to LaBelle. Gallagher will hop off. Daly will take his place. Kramer. Pass deflected. To the far side it goes. Erickson sweeps at it. Ahead to Daly. Erickson and Keeley were tied up. It's held in. LaBelle over for White. Down the wall, Ford. Ford waits. Sauces it over LaBelle. 1-T pass. Back to Ford. Dangles. Shoots wide. LaBelle. Believe a Bobcat may have blocked that shot. Back to Ford. Forced back by Daly. Now over for LaBelle. He'll settle the puck down. Looking for a tip. Couldn't find one. Comes to White, far side. White rink wide, LaBelle. Back to Kramer in the slot. Down low, broken up by Erickson. Tied up behind the net. Worked free by Ford. Now Daly pokes it ahead. Daly, 2-on-0, shorthanded. Daly, wide. And now this will be iced by Twin City. With 5:08 to go. .25 seconds left on the R&R Septic and Plumbing penalty kill. Bobcats win the draw there on the offensive zone faceoff and able to hold it in for just a moment to kill a couple extra seconds. Salak through center. Down the wing he goes. Nice poke check by Ross. And he'll bank it off the glass. Hit Andrioli in the back, but he's able to find it and clear it. Cunningham drop back for Craig. Stuckless is free. Bobcats at full strength. Here's Craig through center. Down the near wing. Craig backhands it high. Butita holds the line. Sends it off the stanchion. Reller banks it ahead off Butita and out. Butita at center with under 4.5 to go. And our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Craig on for Cunningham. Into the middle, White. Poke check by Ross. Cunningham's got it. Cunningham shoots. Sticked away by Schrum. Martin able to get it out. Maybe not. Held in for the moment. Now forced ahead by Andrioli. Pushed on to Gesso. Gesso stick handling. Hit the deck. Romano with it. Under 4 minutes left in regulation. Ford, rink wide, Kramer scores. Pass was blocked, and it all went off the shin pad of Andrioli, I believe, right to Kramer, and he snipes it in. I think both Andrioli and Gesso wanted a penalty on that last shift, and they got to be careful again. .341 to go. It's back to a one-goal hockey game. Kennedy drops it back for Romano. Blocked by Kozirev. Behind the net it goes. 3.5 left. Romano tied up by Kozirev. Radchenko knocks it away. Here's Dennis. Behind the net with it. Leaves it along the wall, Stuckless. Pivots back to the forehand, Demetrio. Snipes it low, looking for Kozirev. He was tied up. Kennedy on to Cunningham and out to center. Snapped back in. And we get a whistle as that one goes out of play. .309 left in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. And we have our media timeout. Want to again thank R&R Septic and Plumbing for sponsoring that successful Bobcats penalty kill. Thank all our great sponsors here on the Blue Ridge Hockey Network. Thanks for joining us and hanging with us through the computer malfunction that we endured in the first period. And we again, because we're going to have to get out of here quickly after this one's over and try and beat Fern back up the mountain. I want to thank the technical team here in Winston-Salem for their hard and gracious work and hospitality helping us get back on the air. Kendall, Logan, and the crew, Jose, Gina, everybody. Can't thank them enough. So 3:09 left in our Aschenbach Chevrolet GMC third period. Here's Kennedy up the wing. He's run into by Hlavac and held up along the wall. Erickson banks it ahead. Kramer knocked it away. Erickson now banks it out of danger. Picked off at center by Romano. Now, if Romano didn't pick that off, it might have been icing. So that's a bit of a break. Erickson pop flies it to center. Under 3 to go. Slap pass, Kennedy on for Ford, too far. Erickson will pick it up. And snipe it around the kick plate. Stuckless had it hop off his twig. Romano drops it back. Looking for LaBelle. There's Mercurio, free from his 10-minute misconduct sentence. Here is Kramer on to Salak. Now down the wing. Hlavac off the glass. Held in by Salak. Babbitt's at the hash marks. We'll keep an eye on him. Craig centers Cunningham. Gloved by Schrum. And we get a whistle. Thunderbirds net is empty. See if Steve Harrison uses his timeout here. And he will. 2:03 to go and an offensive zone face-off coming. Shots now 29-27 in favor of the Bobcats. Steve Harrison has his dry erase board out. The marker is flying. Wojtek Zemlika is rallying his troops. Timeout is over. Boris Babic is on the bench. 6 attackers for Twin City. Gallagher's tied up to the left of the cage. Multi-man rugby scrum pops loose. Up the wall, LaBelle. Down low, White. Rink wide, Kramer. Gloved by Schrum. $1:46 to go. 6 on 5. Faceoffs won by the Thunderbirds. Kramer, White, shut down, rebound loose, and it stays out. White, Keeley, waffle board of the way. Ross up the wall. Gallagher not out yet. White rink wide, LaBelle. Deflected, they score. Salak sends it in front and ties us up at 3. With 1:26 to go. Not much Schrum could do about that one. A lot of traffic in front of him. That's not good news to try and beat the snowstorm home. False draw on the face-off. Here's Kennedy, waiting, dragging. Levac runs him off it. $1:15 to go. Sent just wide. Stucklitz. Ahead for Kozirev. He'll get it into the zone. Stucklitz behind the net. Tied up by Ford. Up the wall, White. Levac with a whack at it. Wins possession. Back to Erickson. Gave it away, but got it back. He'll compose himself and send it around the wall for Daly. Butita's going to hold the line. Under 40 seconds to go. One-timer stopped by Schrum off the stick of Keeley. 3 on 2 if they hurry. Now 2 on 2. Daly delays, shoots. Babic made the stop. And White held in by Andrioli. Trying to self-chip it up the wing. High flip to center. 20 seconds. Butita sends it down. Levac backhanded it away. Salak. It's loose in the slot. Held in by Ross. High and wide. Kennedy with 5. With 3. With 2. With 1. Buzzer. Overtime. Both teams earn a critical standings point. And we have a 3-3 game. And we'll head to a 5-minute overtime. Both teams earn 1 standings point. Both teams will skate 3-on-3. For 5 minutes. If we still don't have a winner after that, then we'll go to a shootout. We got bonus hockey here before the snowpocalypse. It will be Gesso, Gallagher, and Ross. Opposite White, Kramer, LaBelle. They're going to kick Gallagher out of the dot. Gesso to take it and win it. Remember, possession is everything here on 3-on-3 overtime. Ross behind his own cage. He'll set up. Ross makes his way into the zone, was still hemmed in, and it's blown dead for offside. Gallagher hears about the split-second late shot there, but didn't mean anything by it. Now Gesso's getting involved. Last thing you want to do is let things get chippy in overtime. Mercurio, Hlavak, and Kozyrev now. 25 seconds gone by in overtime. Hlavak will peel back into his own end with it now. Now back for Mercurio. Mercurio through center, into the zone, slams on the brakes. Left it for Kozyrev, knocked away. Salak on for Craig. Connor Craig tied up from behind, and Schrum will melt it down. Great back check by Mercurio. Schrum plays it forward. Thought he froze it, but we're still going. Now on to Daly, 2-on-1 with Martin. Daly waits, drags, shoots, missed high. Cunningham back ahead with it, knocked off it by Daly and Martin. Redchenko on for Martin. Martin into the zone. Slams on the brakes, pass is blocked. He'll chase after Craig. Craig around the wall for Cunningham. On to Keeley. He'll play it over to Craig. He'll dump it in. Redchenko behind the net with it. Redchenko protects it. Finds some space. Here's Dennis. Holds up out top and now drops it back to Daly. Daly leaves it for Reller. Reller maneuvers into the zone. Powers behind the net. Centered it, looking for Gesso. He'll find him indirectly, and Gesso will drop it back. Redchenko tried to bank it on to Gesso. It was blocked by White. Gesso R2's it to center. Jets into the zone. Jesso's in. Wraps back of the goal. Set it in front. Nobody home. 2-on-1 the other way. White drags, shoots, blocked. Gesso back to it. He hits the deck. Kramer's got it. Back for White. Kramer scores. Gesso not happy. He wants a penalty. Kramer wins it in overtime and evens this season series back up at 5 games apiece. Well, the Bobcats earn a point, but a tough loss here tonight. All right, we got to get packed up and get back on the bus. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Uh-oh. Gesso hearing it from LaBelle, and he's going to be run off by cooler heads. Season series now even 5-5. Bobcats earn a point but fall 4-3 in overtime. That'll do it. Special thanks to the technical crew in Winston-Salem for their assistance this afternoon. We got a bus to catch to get home before the snow hits. 4-3 the final. We'll see you back at home on Friday night. Everybody stay safe.